Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry. If you listened to last episode, I want to remind you, or this could be new to you, that we now have a phone number where you can call and listen to the show. You don't have to listen over the internet. You can call straight on your phone. The number is 701-719-9888. That's a pretty good deal, isn't it, Lee?
That's amazing. I had never heard of such a thing, so that's good. People are going back to the phone.
Back to the phone, yes. I do joke that it's almost like taking a step backwards, but I do think it's also going to open up the opportunity for more people to listen to the show.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, Lee, let's give a couple brief updates before we move on to the topic. Your book is moving along quite nice, Creating Career Magic. You even know when it's coming out, so give us an update.
Yeah, well, first thing, I changed the title to Career Magic because I was afraid people might get confused with my first book, Creating Magic, and I didn't want them to think they'd already read it. So we're going to call it Career Magic, and the subtitle is How to Stay on Track to Achieve a Stellar Career. So actually, the book is finished. I've finished editing it a couple of times. And I'm sending it in to the publisher tomorrow, and we're going to get it typeset, and it'll be on the market by no later than September 30th. It'll be out there for sale. So, yeah, looking forward to it. It's been fun to write it, and it's about the size of Creating Magic. It's probably going to be about 260 pages, 270 pages, and it's got lots of good advice on when you run into those obstacles in your career that you now think won't ever happen, because they will. And you'll either run into a bad boss, you'll have a job you hate, you'll be in a city you don't like, your wife won't like living there, you'll get demoted, fired. All these things happened to me, so I was a good source. And in the end, everything worked out just fine. You got to just stay persistent, stay on track, and keep a good attitude and roll with the punches. So that's what that book's going to be about.
Well, the thing that's so interesting about that book and your career, Lee, is people would see where you ended up running Disney World and just assume, well, Lee Cockerell must have just had a straight line up in his career. Things must have went so well for him, but that's not true, is it?
No, you'll see. You'll feel so sorry for me after you read this book. You'll feel sorry for Priscilla.
Well, there is one thing about your career that we've never touched on here. And I don't know if you touch on it in the book, but I've heard you tell this story, and it's so interesting and so valuable, is the way that connections and relationships led you to coming on board with Disney.
Oh, yeah. Well, you never know. And I did put that story in the book because I think it's a good lesson for everybody out there. And I'll just quickly tell you what it was. So here I'm at Marriott, and I've got a great job, and I'm a great life. Our hotel's been renovated. It's beautiful. I have a great staff. We're getting great comments. We're making profit. I go to work home at 5 o'clock, 5:30. Life's just perfect. And all of a sudden I get a call from a fellow who used to work for me at Marriott. He had left and gone to Disney, and he calls up and says, I want to talk to you about coming over to interview with us down in Orlando about being the director of food and beverage for the Disneyland European project, Euro Disney, now called Disneyland Paris. And I said, okay, well, I'll go down. And I said to my wife, I said, do you want to go? You want me to go check this out? She said, absolutely, Lee. I said, why? She said, because we get to go live in Paris, and they pay you, and you get to work for Disney. I said, all right. So I went down for an interview, and came back. I got the job, and I actually resigned the day after I got back and went off to Paris. But I think the message was this guy had reported to me, and I'd treated him well. I had been respectful of him. By then, I'd learned how to be a better leader, and he thought a lot of me. And now he was the big boss, and he was the executive vice president, and I was the director reporting to him. When I was the vice president, he was the director reporting to me. So I said in the book, be nice to everybody on the way up, because your boss one day may be somebody that used to report to you, or you used to report to, and now you're going, hopefully you treated him right. And I had a guy once who reported to me after I had reported to him, and he treated me pretty shabbily, by the way. When I reported to him, he very disrespectful and didn't pay much attention to me, and actually didn't care for me very much. And one day was a bad day for him, because now he reported to me. And I got a long memory. I'm like an elephant. And That didn't work out too good for him. So, because I knew who he really was, that was the issue. I knew what kind of person he really was because he had shown me. And so I would just say, be cautious out there. And you don't even need to be cautious. Just be respectful and professional with everybody. You don't have to love everybody, but you don't have to show your cards either. Just be professional. If they got a performance problem, talk to them about it. But don't be mean to people. Don't be rude. Don't be disrespectful. And life will turn out just fine. You won't have to worry about who might be your boss 20 years down the road. Yeah.
Well, I've heard it said, perhaps by my granny, that people don't always remember what you do, but they remember how you make them feel.
Oh, wow, that's so true. We all, you don't remember the exact words they said 20 years ago, but you still remember that person made me feel bad or made me lose my self-confidence or was inappropriate what they said to me. And I do it. I was at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, and this story's in the book too. And Waldorf Astoria, the big fancy hotel in New York City, probably the greatest hotel in the world, and always has been. Opened in 1929, and here Lee Cockerell, the country boy from Oklahoma, shows up with an Oklahoma accent. I got discriminated against, and I saw bigotry because I was an old country boy, and all these fancy guys had gone to all the best hotel schools around the world and in Europe, and they did not treat me too well. And I remembered them too later. And yeah. So, and I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't be mean about it, but that's the way it goes. I couldn't help it.
Yeah. Well, it can be hard to let go when someone makes you feel like that. It's not easy to not hold on to that.
I'd be in the cafeteria and they wouldn't sit with me. They would sit somewhere else. They were too sophisticated for Lee Cockerell, but it all worked out eventually. It all came around.
Well, if you're just starting your career, because we've seen how a connection you made, a relationship you built with somebody that reported to you eventually led to you coming to Disney. If you're just starting out in your career, what advice do you have? How do you start making those connections early on?
Well, I tell people you got to make sure you go to places where you can make those connections and get involved and, show up for every event where those people will be there and go up to them and say hello and introduce yourself. And don't be an introvert. Get out there and meet people. Don't be intimidated because you have a low-level position and there's a president of the company in the room. Walk up to them and introduce yourself. Tell them what you do. They'll be happy to meet you. And I say the number one way you make headway in your career is you be the best little performer that ever lived. I don't care if you're cleaning bathrooms. You be the best bathroom cleaner. And when you're a waiter, you be the best waiter. And when you're a restaurant manager, you be the best one, best attitude. And the word gets around. People notice at every level the people who perform well. So performance will always win out, but also people need to know you. I told my son when he went to college to sit on the front row of all classes so the professor would get to know him. And that's true. If people don't know you, they can't help you. And if you sit up in the back with a class of 500 kids back there, you're not going to get noticed. And people always help people who they know. That's just how we all work. And whether it's fair or not, I don't know, but it's the way it is. And so make sure, go to Chamber of Commerce meetings, go get involved in community groups, get to meet people. And that'll all pay off one day. Everything in my life has worked out through relationships. Because today, if you want to get a job, you're probably going to need a relationship to walk you in the door because all this applying online is not very productive and it doesn't get you a chance to get in front of somebody and show them. But if you can meet somebody who will make a recommendation for you to be interviewed and walk you into a Disney or a Marriott or Apple and give you that break because they already work there, that's probably how you're going to get your break in life. But being excellent is also the best way because your reputation will precede you if you're one of those great performers, and everybody wants to hire the great people. And by the way, I just looked at some research. By 2030, we're going to have huge shortages of talent in the whole world. Only the U.S. will have about a 5% excess, but most of the world will be short, very short. And the number one reason people leave companies today and in the future will be not feeling appreciated. And talent can move, and especially smart, talented technical people and all those kind of jobs. So make sure that if you're a leader out there, that you're showing appreciation to your people in every way you can, because they don't leave. Leaving for money was like number 7, and leaving because I don't feel appreciated is number 1. And I think that's why people get divorces. That the wife doesn't feel appreciated or the husband, and you end up getting a divorce. And it's a very deep human feeling to feel appreciated. So there you are. That's your marriage counseling for the day, Jody.
Well, I always pay attention. So let's move to a Cockerell quote that I think plays into what we're talking about today. The Cockerell quote is, "Your career will end, your reputation will not."
Yeah, I mean, we'll all not work one day, but what kind of reputation are you going to have? I think a lot of our congressmen and senators and people in every line of work, a lot of them forget this, and all of a sudden you quit working, and then you're a nobody unless you have a great reputation for taking care of people and being involved. And if you just were a great performer, but you weren't good with people and you always thought about yourself and you didn't think about other people and your reputation, I always have wondered, what are people saying behind my back about me? And I hope it's good things, because I wake up every day and try to help people. And when they want to see me, I see them. And I found that out after I retired. You wonder if you're going to ever get invited to anything again. Are you anybody? And I get invited to all the Disney events, and I have friends over there, and they're all big shots now, and they still remember me, and they still take care of me, and they still invite me to their house for dinner. And that doesn't happen to a lot of people. Once you're gone, and the page turns. And the best way you can make sure that you stay relevant in the world and you have a good reputation and you're respected is to wake up every day and think about what you can do for others, not just about what you can do for yourself. Yeah.
Lee, I know you're modest and you probably wouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to. I ran into someone in Nashville that knows you, and he was saying he is just blown away that you have been gone from Disney for 10 years now, but when you go on site at Disney World, people still recognize you and still come up to you. And boy, does that say a lot about your reputation, that you've been gone for 10 years and people still know you and still want to hear what you have to say.
Well, it's funny. I got an email yesterday, which was really hilarious. This young girl who's on she's doing an internship there. She's probably 22, 23 years old. She writes me an email and says, "Mr. Cockerell, I think I met you yesterday at Disney." And she goes on about, "I really enjoyed our conversation, and I didn't realize it was you until you walked away, and I had your book, Creating Magic, in my purse, and I would have got you to sign it, and you've really left a legacy here at Disney, and we still give your book to every new person on an internship and college program kids and all." And in fact, she didn't meet me. I didn't know what she was talking about. I sent her a note this morning. I said, "You didn't meet me, but I'd love to meet you." And so I go to Starbucks every morning for coffee. "You want to come by and bring your book?" And it was funny. I mean, she was 100% sure. She and I had a big conversation over at Disney yesterday. So it's good to be remembered, and you're always remembered if you do things for people. Actually, you're probably remembered, too, if you do bad things to people, too. But, I want to be remembered in the right way.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're lucky that the person she talked to that she thought was you left a good impression.
Yeah, he was probably about 30 years younger than me, and she thought it was me. I wish. I sent her a picture of me, which she probably won't call me now. She's afraid I'll have a heart attack while she's meeting with.
Well, Lee, last episode, we mentioned that your book is coming out, Career Magic. That should be out by September 30th.
Yeah.
We also announced not long ago the Time Management Magic course is coming out in September. So 2 big things coming in September.
Yeah, so you and I got a lot of work to do here, because we got to get with it. Because if we keep saying it's coming out, we're going to get stoned if we don't get it done. And especially when it's time management, we really don't have a good excuse.
Yeah, that's right. But we want to make sure it's great. I'll tell you, I'm still doing a lot of the preparation research to make sure that every module of this course is going to be great. So I know this is going to be a great course. It's going to bring some of the best Lee has to offer about time management, and it's going to go deeper and help you even more than the book did, as great as the book was.
Yeah, and I just ordered my 2017 day timer. It came in the mail, and I reordered it. In fact, I was on Facebook yesterday, and there was a guy talking about the day timer and my time management book. He was saying, "I've been on Lee's system for 1 year, and I can tell you it's changed my life, and I'm so organized now." And he showed everybody on Facebook his day timer.
Oh, wow.
I was going, "Look at this, Priscilla. This stuff out there, and this guy's using it." And another lady came on and said, "Yes, I've been using it too, and it's really changed my life. I now know how to plan for my life, and I know how to get things done." And yeah. And boy, I just love to hear that when people say it's really helped them so dramatically.
Yeah. Well, Lee, I'm there too. I adopted your system shortly after we started working together, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah,
it completely changes things.
Yeah.
And then I actually mix in I use the day timer, I use your system, but then I mix in my other tools to help me, like Wunderlist and Google Calendar.
Sure,
But
absolutely.
they all just blend together. You find how to work in the old-fashioned day timer with new technology, and it's wonderful.
Creating your own system that works for you. That's the key.
That's right. If you want to find out more about the Time Management Magic course, just go to jodymayberry.com, and you can get on a list where we're going to send updates about how the course is progressing. All right, Lee, this was another wonderful episode. Thank you for all you've given for us, and thank you for listening to Creating Disney Magic. For more information on Lee's work or to contact him, visit leecockerell.com. You can find me at jodymayberry.com. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.